Good morning, everyone. This is Wednesday, the 12th of November. Universal Mind Radio, in conjunction with Wolf Spirit Radio, would like to present to you 1 hour of Earth Mind Meditation by Frank Jordan. Frank is accompanied this morning by the Earth Mind Healers Group. The focus of intent for today's show is to use Frank's subtle energy techniques to release and ease the stress of Mother Earth from land, sea, climate, and man-made changes around the world. Frank Jordan is from Boise, Idaho, and has been an empath for many, many years. Frank is also in direct contact with galactic beings who are guiding Earth's transition into the fourth and fifth dimensions. Stephen is a separate higher consciousness of Frank that delivers information about the shift of consciousness. Stephen, through Frank, focuses frequencies of unconditional love into the world group mind that helps people do the necessary, subtle energy clearing and DNA assemblage for ascension into dominion. Frank is also an active water, mineral, and missing persons dowser and healer. During his radio show on Sunday night, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, Frank teaches the universal laws of physics, which is metaphysics. A discussion is held by Frank where Stephen talks about subjects of interest to members of the audience. During the second hour, Stephen tunes directly into the listening audience, where healing requests are made, guides the healings, and often gives insightful information about their personal situations. For further information on Frank Jordan, please visit his website at www.psytronics.com. That's PSI-TRONICS.com. Psytronics.com. You are also invited to set up a one-on-one appointment with Frank where you can discuss your personal situation. His phone number, 208-344-9188. One more time, 208-344-9188. His email address is fljordan@cableone.net. Through his website, you can purchase dowsing tools, books, novels, including his infamous Clearing the Way instruction book. This is the one we've been using through our workshops on Sunday night. And of course, donations are always appreciated and can be made through the website of Wolf Spirit Radio, Psytronics, and Universal Mind Radio. Please enjoy our show. Frank?
Well, good morning. Pardon me. Good morning, everyone. Well, we have interesting events going on around the world. The weather patterns are simply completely out of sync. And this is interesting to me because in looking at the earthquake grid, the earthquakes are very stable around the world at this time. Very little earth energy release. The polarity of the weather patterns as they roll around the world and the various flows will come into stability because Earth itself is coming into stability. So we'll do some work today on balancing Earth energy and to okay, I'm listening. Give me a moment, please. All right, it's time to pay more attention again to the polar shift and to things exterior to us that are affecting us, like the sunspots. Sunspots are very mild today. We've had a report that the solar flare that did happen on Sunday was mostly deflected. It did hit, but it was carried around the Earth by the ionosphere and our golden shield, so there was no discernible effect of that. And that's what we try to do is stay ahead of events. So anytime anyone has awareness of some coming event or some solar activity, please let us know, even to the degree of astrological events coming in, things like that. So this morning, we have a short crew, but I'd like to call on a few of you to see how things are in your parts of the world before we begin the regular Earth Mind meditation. So, Rich, how's things over in Hawaii? What's happening there?
Well, we've had kind of a major weather shift the last few days. We've got some huge waves coming into the islands. We've got 20-foot surf now. It's cooled down probably 5 to 10 degrees. No sign of the whales yet. They should be coming in soon. So, and the Big Island is very, very active with volcanic activity. So we're seeing a little bit of change. I mean, it's a big change for us. It's subtle, maybe on your side, but 5-degree temperature change here is a lot. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you. My curiosity about the volcanoes, which we observe as earthquakes on the large island, is there more than one volcano acting out, or is it all the Kilauea volcano?
As far as I know, it's just the one, but it's, excuse me, it's producing a constant lava flow. So, I don't know any more about that. I haven't been paying much attention to it lately, so I can't really add any new information to that.
Yeah, the movement of the lava itself is to responsive pressures. The pressures themselves cause internal shifts all over the island, so that's what we're seeing there. Okay, Yvonne, over in New Zealand, do you have anything from that side of the world of interest to us today?
Good morning. I've been busy. I haven't been very occupied with the weather, but I'm in Raglan, which is a beautiful surfing town on the North Island, and unfortunately we've got a lot of rain and we've got really very strong winds. So nobody's surfing, everybody's staying in. And we're all waiting for our spring to come really soon.
Mm-hmm. All right. It sounds like a beautiful time on that side of the world. David Malden on the East Coast, Atlanta. Do you have anything to report to us?
Yeah, it's just the usual transition in the deep south from summertime to wintertime. It's all the trees have changed, leaves are falling, and we're overcast and cloudy and starting to dip in weather temperature wise.
All right, well, let's just settle in then and go into our meditation, and we'll see what evolves from there. We'll see if Stephen has any messages for us today. There is a lot of world turmoil going on and adjustments right now. Maybe we can invite the Galactics to speak through on that. So we'll go right into our meditation with the intent of being aware of anything that wants to come in to give us some information or to help us out in what we can do to contribute to the energies of the world. So let's all just settle back in totally comfortable position now. Hands and feet apart, flat on the floor. This gives your polarities an opportunity to in the three orbs of our polarity consciousness or three-dimensional reality. This gives our orbs a chance to spin freely and gives us a better polarity balance. Anytime we close our hands or cross our feet, we short-circuit our receptors out into the outer world. So let's take awareness up into our foreheads and just begin to move right straight back out of the conscious reasoning realm of consciousness back into the soul center, which we're not aware of actively as being our active controller, But there is an aspect of consciousness that is deeper, more hidden than what this one is that we express as our I am, our thinking center of consciousness, which we think of ourselves. Because that outer consciousness is focused on the world around us, delivering information to the inner consciousness of the indwelling soul. And the indwelling soul, as it retains and regains its memory and consciousness, has a greater conceptuality of what's happening out in the outer world, and through its connections with oversoul, superconscious, other dimensions of reality, and with its past life information, and not only in this reality, in this plane of consciousness, but in the past history of our soul flow. It has much information for us, so it's good to spend time just centered in your soul center, and it's like listening, stepping back out of the conscious mind, to the frontal lobe, back into the soul center, just ahead of the psychic center, and this is where everything goes quiet. And this is a wonderful zone for listening, because much information can come into the frontal lobes of our brain from here as awareness of external things that are not only happening around us at the present time, but of our deep soul knowledge and information that needs to come through in this time and space. So just listen and reach out and touch laterally into the morphogenic field of human soul consciousness around the world. And as you do this, the first thing you'll contact is your own soul family, your extended soul splits that come from your family, soul family flow, which is a group of guardian souls and spirits that work directly through you and into expressing and experiencing world reality. And there are many of these around the world incarnated, of people incarnated into these planes at this time. But our own particular soul family is that one where we pull in our own intuitive soul knowledge, and it's the one that helps us to associate with the other soul families around the world in a group mind and common consciousness of intent. And so this morning, let's spend some time here reaching out to the other souls around the world and expressing. The first thing is unconditional love. Love all other souls as thy love thyself. And this breaks down the barriers between people, between soul groups. It reorganizes the commonality of man and the fact that we are all one, experiencing all things possible in these incarnations at this time, in all societies possible. And more importantly, this is where we agree on what we're creating in the world. This is where we bring into manifestation that which is beneficial to humankind. And this is where we bring through the high self and oversoul directives into our consciousness, our soul consciousness, to be expressed as will in the activities and choices we make for the good of humankind. So just extend out the desire now that the human consciousness be strengthened and empowered, that it just doesn't lay there as a latent participator, that it becomes a co-active, co-creative through our imaginations, our visualizations, and our intent to see dominion come into the world and see dominion become the functionality that shifts world consciousness. And we see this happening, and not through the media reports, of course, because they're controlled by the cabal, but we see things happening now through the social network in our computers. And it would do well for us to be looking for articles and things that show how the intent of the human populace is shifting. And this shift can and is empowered by our will, which is directed by the indwelling soul. Our will to see dominion come into the world. And through this we empower people of thoughtful consciousness all over the world. And we will continue to do this in a way that empowers the world. And this is also the realm of consciousness where we look at all the problems of the world, and rather than being driven by past experiences, we recognize the learning process we've been going through and the need to be proactive, to look forward, to create with our thoughts and intents. The fourth dimension, the new reality we're moving into. And a part of this is of great importance is in letting go of the old forms, the old conditions, the old perceptions and precepts that hold us, our societies, our realities, our consciousness in form. It's just like stepping back away from everything we've ever been, our self-identity of who we are, and moving ahead, looking into the future and manifesting the future that we'll be moving into as we create and manifest the fourth dimension in a unique human form. Now feel this happening, because this is what we will take into the galactics as we move away from Earth into space, is we will take this unique, highly evolved, highly intelligent, and capable consciousness of Earth mind humans. This is what we have to offer those out in space who are monitoring us very closely, and they are waiting for us to make the shift from domination consciousness into dominion. And as we shift into dominion, we become the co-creators and self-awareness, through self-awareness of that which we create is not only ours alone, but it extends out through the will, the central core of our indwelling souls, the morphogenic field of our indwelling souls. So the commonality of what we create for ourselves is unique and beneficial to all mankind. And this is the basis of dominion. And dominion is a time-space portal that we pass through, and we actually earn our way into higher consciousness by mastering each level and the challenges, because inherent in our consciousness is an opposition force whose principal job is to offer challenges and opposition to anything, any stability in our lives that we've come to adhere to rely upon the old forms. And this is what forces us as intelligent, evolving humans to continue to create, to manifest, to evolve, to rise above each level as we create it and bring it into form and step into the next level. And I always like to say it's like going through the neck of a bottle as we pass from one level of learning into the next. We pull in and draw from any level the information we've accrued, and we take that with us, the growth of consciousness, but we leave everything else behind as we go through the neck of the bottle. It's just like stripping away relationships, physical things, property, and take with us the learning, the evolution, the rise of consciousness. And as we step into the new level, with no reliance on the past, new opportunities come to us and are present and available as we extend our awareness outward with contacting new persons, new gifts and levels of learning. We continue outward, expanding out until we've accomplished and gained what we can in that level. Then we pull that in, internalize it, and bring it into our soul memory consciousness, because this is the one that carries through between the levels. And as our soul rises into the next level, again we strip off the old. And this happens 12 times. There's 12 levels in this earth plane of consciousness that we look at as our physical world. It's our central mental level of consciousness that is directed by the will, by the indwelling soul. And these 12 levels are directly correspond to the 12 levels of the chakra system, the 7 primary notes and the 6 minor notes of the chakra system as we evolve up through the frequency levels and ranges. And so the experiences we're having out in our outer plane of consciousness and in this, any level we're in, what we're attracting and what is manifesting is a direct result of what we've achieved in lower levels. And if we don't clear and release the negative aspects of things we're experiencing and let them go, then those tend to hold us from rising into the higher levels. And this is the function and the qualities of evolution of consciousness. This is how it works. And everything we learn, everything we experience resonates directly into Earth Mind, which is the lower octave of consciousness of the female polarity. And as it is stored in Earth Mind, that becomes the instinctive consciousness that prompts us and supports primarily our low selves as we evolve up through the levels of consciousness. This is how we never lose anything. We simply clear, negate, wipe away, wash away, flow away, drag the trash, anything negative in our lives or realities. As we move up through these ascending levels of consciousness, this is why we so need to pay attention to what we've created, what we've experienced, and what we're taking with us, because the resonance from Earth Mind holds in form, not knowing time or space. Everything that happens to us through the subconscious mind would appear to, as far as the subconscious is concerned, to be happening now. And so to clear these effects from our now choices, we must and can clear and release and relate everything we relate to in our past experiences. And as you do this, you feel yourself rise. You become more clear, more receptive to the next levels of consciousness. And that's how the functionality of evolution of consciousness works. And what is the goal of this? Why do we do this? Why is it important to contribute our point of attention to our everyday reality? It's because as we move beyond this third dimensional reality, where we're learning about everything negative potential, we'll move into the fourth dimension where we can use our gifts and abilities, which are ours by divine right, inherent in our genes. We can use those gifts and abilities to create and manifest an earthly paradise where everything functions and allows us to have ongoing joy and dominion. And this is not to say that we won't have challenges, because we will have challenges, but they'll be the kind that on those levels prompt us to continue to think and grow and evolve. And those levels, interestingly enough, a lot of the challenges will come from the galaxy, because that's what we're moving into, is expanded state of awareness and of being, where we can take our place in the galaxy. But again, we have to learn and earn our way as we rise and keep on moving into higher and higher consciousness through the fourth dimension, which is a time-space continuum where we create actually the fifth dimension as we move into it and earn our way into the higher dimensions of reality, where we become greater and greater co-creators with the God force and manifestation and holding all things in form. The ultimate path takes us back in up to the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th dimensions, and beyond that point is the all-knowing God force consciousness of one, which extends and extrapolates down through all the other levels of consciousness and dimensions down into this present level of activity that we have chosen to experience and express in. And that is all Stephen has for today. All right, we step back into Frank again, actually Francis, and look at our physical world and what's happening. And our intent for today will be to continue to strengthen the golden grid and to look at the world financial, social structures as it's going through its transition and empower that every way we can with our desire and will and intent. But to hold that in form and to strengthen it, we need to continually work with strengthening our golden grid and maintaining the energies, because the energies that the intent we put into the golden grid to resonate with Earth Mind, it's like the male-female polarities manifesting form. As we do that, it has to be reinforced, given energy. So we'd pull that from the earthquake grid. And in looking at the activity this past week, there's been a great reduction in the overall number of earthquakes around the world and the earth movements. And this seems to be a cyclical thing that I observe. The wave of energy will express outward through the earth and is used as earth shifts and movements and volcanoes and the weather and things of that nature. Then it'll calm back down again. We seem to be in a calm phase at this moment. So take your awareness to Southern California. Just become one with the grid system, the earthquake grid there. And as you open up, because we're accessing this through our low selves, just feel yourself expanding and being drawn to Earth as our point of attention is in the earthquake grids. And we feel the stress of building earth tension in the fault lines that will release as earthquakes. And we lift that energy up our spines, right out through our crown chakra. And we can pull energy from a large area right out through the crown chakra, through oversoul, up into the ionosphere, and let that flow unify with what we've created before in the golden grid, reinforcing energetically what our past manifestations have been, particularly energizing the polarity of the golden grid to repel solar flares and so we can directly communicate with the sun. And as long as we have this connection, take your point of attention to the sun, to the grid of consciousness in the chakra system of the sun. And it's a gigantic Devic force of consciousness that just does its job of holding the planets together through gravitational form in our solar system to give us an opportunity in the various forms of life in the solar system to experience and evolve. And this is the source of all the energy that we use on Earth to sustain it and manifest form and hold life in abundance. So we open up to the sun now and feel that incredible life force pour into us as a return flow through our connection with the golden grid, empowering the earth. And our visualization is to visualize the golden grid resonating dominion into the earth, bringing all things back into balance. And the shift in the weather patterns right now that are causing problems in the Midwest and East, that unusual early cold weather reflects the shift of consciousness that's going on around the world and the need to release lack of energy, which creates cold. Lack of solar energy creates the cold pole energies, which creates our weather patterns, affects us. So as that release of energy occurs, it'll be warmed by our central land masses. And we see not only just more stable conditions occurring around the earth in the weather patterns, but a higher state and rate of consciousness. Because as we get colder, down to absolute zero, less and less and less life force has the opportunity to express. The full expression of life force is what creates the optimum temperature and means of life to exist on Earth. And so we harmonize, resonate with the sun, the Devic forces of the sun, and everything of DNA on Earth relies on the sun for energy. It comes into harmony with the sun, and that life force consciousness, the morphogenic field of life on Earth, using the energy and the power of the sun, balances and stabilizes Earth consciousness and all of nature. And we're being prompted now, and you may feel as if the base of your brains and your primitive brain are prompting. We're being prompted to look at the polar shifts, which is simply the movement of the gravitational field, the center of the gravitational field of the North Pole. And we bring energy and force and intent into that to slow down the movement so that the transition that is necessary to the cycles of the world stabilize, and stabilizing the balance between the warm cycles and the cold cycles in the weather fields of the north and south hemispheres as the rotation occurs and shifts. Bring Earth back into a polarity balance that is the request of all living things on Earth, working directly with the influence of the sun through the Devic forces, and we feel that harmony come back into Earth. So there'll be no more destructive, unseasonable outbreaks of weather, and the moderate weather conditions that we've been experiencing will continue without any cooling of the hemispheres that will create the ice ages. And also to stabilize it so that the melting of the polar caps will stabilize and come back into a more natural or beneficial stability. There is no natural. It is simply a procession of long cycles of shifts of life force on the earth. All right, we feel that happening. Now move your awareness back into the psychic center. And through the psychic center, we want to reach out into all world consciousness, to the psychic grid, and release fear. Fear of survival, fear of the future that prompts people through their low selves to hold on to old forms, and we want to release those fears and have them look forward to the new world reality, the new world consciousness that is coming, and it's coming because we're creating it through need to release and clear the old forms of domination so dominion can function and express on earth. So through the psychic center, release fear, and you can feel that pressure in your head, deep in the middle of your head. Focus on that and release fear, release the need to dominate because of fear, release the need to control through fear, to control the assets and the financial supplies of the world and the abundance of the world. To release the fear that information will reduce the power of those in control, because that's exactly what is happening. Information is breaking the hold of the domination factors, releasing those. So we continue to release those. Now drop back into the subconscious mind, back into our earthquake grid, and through the earthquake grid, extend your consciousness now around the ring of fire. And just as though we're in the center of the ocean surrounded by this ring of fire, we create a whirling cyclonic energy, etheric energy that lifts the energy, the excess energy, the stress energy away from the volcanoes in the ring of fire and the earthquake grid, up through our systems in a cauldron of energy that's like a cyclone reaching up into the golden grid, lifting energy upward even as it distributes energy through dominion around the world. us to sustain. And we reach into the belt around the world, in the latitude where there's active earth energies around the world, and they we pull that energy into our ring of fire, so that energy is also captured and utilized for the benefit of the world. And we use it directly, working with the Earth Deva, the Devas of Earth now, that control the weather, to harmonize the weather so we do not have excess cold or excess heat or excess rain or disrupted weather patterns. We use it intent to bring rain to drought areas. And we feel this unified field of consciousness that we are. Bring Earth back into harmony and balance. And feel your hearts now. Feel the God force in your heart, responding through the 0 point of your own individual reality and the group mind reality of all living things on Earth, having DNA. We pour unconditional love into the 0 point of the world and everything in the world, resonating directly with the sun, bringing balance and harmony to all life. And we feel the pressures, that's that resistance in your upper chest and throat. This is a disharmony and balance, because this is our relationship and communication center. This is a reflection of the fields of disharmony and opposition on Earth, in humanity itself, the domination forces. So we send unconditional love into these patterns that we are feeling in our upper chest and our throats. Send unconditional love, following these sources back to the perpetrators, the unconscious fields that hold the form of domination, and we neutralize those, neutralize them, and replace them with unconditional love. You feel Earth come back into harmony. Any tightness you feel in your throat now is a reflection of the vast battle that's going on in communication between the social network of the web and people who are writing and expressing the need for change and truth, and feel truth and empowerment resonating through that web now and out to every person who has a computer or any kind of electronic communication device. We're pouring dominion now And this is in direct contradiction to what is being stated through the common media forces that are under the power and auspices of the domination forces. And so we see the truth of the web. We resonate unconditional love through it to break down the structure and forces of the communication system, the news media, so truth can be expressed to all people through all media. And if we feel the resonance of that around the earth, we particularly send it to people like Kimmery and those that she's associated with who are bringing back the right and proper order of our government and financial systems. So we send extreme empowerment to Kimmery and to everything she works with and everyone she contacts, so they will see the truth, and that truth will become a living resonance through the golden grid. And we feel the world shift as the governments come back in as created by the constitutions of the world governments to bring dominion into government, and the principles of the Republic and of our original Constitution to bring back into form the right expression and utilization of government. We also see this happening in the religious structures around the world. The truth, the light of truth is resonating from the golden grid into the hearts and minds and souls of all individuals that are dominated and controlled by religious structure. We see the truth resonating as empowerment and self-realization, and the acceptance that everyone does have right choice in how they communicate with the Supreme. Clearing and releasing the need of any mediators or so-called teachers which function as dominators, releasing the dominators. We pull the power of the earthquake grid into the golden grid, filled with our intent to bring unconditional love, self-realization, right of free choice, and the promptings to make right choice in dominion through the principles, the basic principles of the universe that empower the natural evolution of consciousness of every living thing having DNA in the galactic. And we reconnect with the galactic flow, feel the tingling in our hands as we think about the galactic flow, and know that through everyone that is affected by this flow now is coming self-realization and the reprogramming into dominion. And so it is. I feel a wonderful wave of peace resonating from our heart centers to the heart center of everyone on earth. Peace and self-assurance. And love. Bring your awareness back up your spine now, into your psychic center, out and forward into your soul center. Just pausing there for a moment to give thanks. To give thanks for this opportunity to help lead the world into self-realization and away from the domination forces. Now step on out into the frontal lobes of your everyday I am reality with that beautiful feeling of joy and peace. Let that resonate around the world. This is the fourth dimension. All right, everyone. Step up now and add your thoughts and your feelings to our message for today. Yes, we want to wish Rachel a happy birthday 2 days past, and now that she's back with us, Rachel, can you express a tone that expresses our feeling now of unification, and this tone being the language of light that empowers and holds the form of the God Force stellar reality?
Okay. Hayana Maria Neho Neana Neho Mariane Anana Nenua Yane Hanna Neho Jaleata Kunderia Mo Maliana Ne Holy Amor Yaleom Leyeom.
All right, that was beautiful. We feel that resonating around the world through the hearts and minds. And you feel the lift of consciousness and vibration that occurs. Thank you, Rachel. Would anyone else like to share?
Yes, I would. And special wishes for Rachel, our lovely, of course. I looked up the word dominion, and I was troubled because, as you see, all the definitions I found were misleading. They led you away from what it really is. It's really like heaven on earth. It's all those feelings you speak of. But if you look it up, they're trying to distract you totally and trying to make you think that it's a controlling thing. It's not a controlling. It's a caretaking. It's a loving. It's a sharing. But they're trying to twist it around. So I just wanted to bring it to everyone's attention, not to go there. Understand that. Know that. Discern for yourself. Because we all know what dominion is, and don't believe what you're reading, because them books are crooked.
Well, they were created by the domination force. Of
Right
course,
on.
they didn't know. You know what dominion is, but it's stated right in the first pages of the Bible. And
Exactly.
Man shall have dominion. And that does not mean that dominate or control. That means that we take the responsibility for caring and nurturing and empowering everything on earth.
Which goes to show why they needed to do that little switcheroo.
Exactly. So let's all, we can all switch that back and give the proper word its proper meaning so people don't buy into that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say thank you to everybody that is listening, because it was through everyone's opening and allowing within themselves to raise that I was able to raise even more. So I thank you all very much.
Right on, Catherine. Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I would also, along the lines of what Marilyn was speaking, I know people might get confused with the word form when it's spoken to change form, and we need to remember that it's the thought form. Your thoughts are the form that need changing.
Exactly. Thoughts the creator power, right?
Yes.
All right, Gary, thank you for your support and the very important function that you have of being our bridge to the Wolf Spirit Radio and the greater world. And we turn it over to you now.
Okay.
Love to everyone.
Thank you, Frank. That's Universal Mind Radio, signing off from the Frank Jordan Show. Come back on Saturday at 9 a.m. for another edition.